Hey everyone, welcome back to the API series. In today's video, we are going to learn about automating put call in Cypress. So we'll be covering use cases like how we can make a put call in Cypress, how we can automate the flow. Second scenario is where we will see how we can make a put call using fixture file. If we are going to store our data inside the fixture folder, how we can use that. The third scenario is we can make a call using a JSON file, which is inside a different package, not inside your fixture file. We will cover that as well. At the end, we will cover end-to-end flow, where we will create a resource using a post call, and then we will update the same resource using the put call. And in the end, we will fetch user and we'll verify that user got updated with the using the get call. Okay, so these are the multiple cases which we are going to cover. So we will see in Postman. First, we will try to understand what is put call, how is it different from the post, and then later on we will automate it. Open Postman and show you the difference based on the API. Right? So this is our API for the post call. In this post API, what I'm doing, I'm passing some parameters. We are passing a mandatory header, which is an authorization token, a bearer token along with it. And then we are hitting the users API, which is actually creating a new resource for you. So in post call, what happened? In post call, a resource is created, right? A new user, in this case, a new user would be created. But if we want to update the user, for example, you have already passed the name as AB Automation Hub, and later on you want to change the name. So in that case, we will be using put call instead of post, right? Post will be creating a new resource, but put will be updating it. If you want to update any details, that will be done using the put call. Fine. So let's understand over here. I'll show you the flow inside the Postman, and then later on we will automate. So this is our body. And in the body, I passed name, email, gender, and status. Okay, now if I hit this API, in the API, I can see the status code is 201, which means it got created and we got the ID and other details. Okay, other details are basically same what we are passing in the payload. So in case of put call, what will happen? In case of put call, we want to update some details of this user. For example, I want to update name and email. So in that case, what will happen? In that case, you have to pass in the URL, you have to pass ID also, right? So let me open the put API. So this is my put API. Okay. In the put API, you have to add over here in the endpoint, you have to add the ID of the user, because we are informing the API, we want to update the details for the specific user. Otherwise, it will not understand which user you're trying to update. Okay. And then in the body, I'm passing the name and I'm passing the email. So earlier, what was there? Earlier in the post call, if you can see, my name is AB Automation Hub and email is AB Automation Hub only. And then in the put call, I'm changing it to the name, I'm changing it to Anshita, and the email also I'm changing it to AB Test API. Okay, so before I hit the API, I want to show you the get call for this. So let me open the get call. So in this get call, we do not pass any body. In get call, we are just passing the ID in our endpoint. So I will just change the ID over here. And now if I hit the get call, we can see our first data, which I created through post call. So this is our data. Fine, we have AB Automation Hub and email address is this. Now, if I hit my put API, I will just change it to test. And now if I hit the API, so we will see a resource would be created. It will say status 200. That means it is a successful. And then in the response, we will get email, name, ID, and all the other details. Now we can see a put call executed successfully. Next thing is we will again go to get call and we will update over here. So we already have passed the ID inside it. Now if I hit the API, I will see in the get call, the response would have different name and email address. So now let's execute this one. Let's hit the API. So you see the name and email got changed over here. So this is the meaning of a put call. Put call basically updates your resource, which is created by post call. So this is a very common and very famous interview question. What is the difference between post and put call? You should know the difference. And the end-to-end flow also, you should know. When you are trying to automate it, so the best thing is you should automate in a flow where we are creating a resource using a post call. Then we are updating the same resource using a put call. And then we are fetching the details of that user if it got updated or not. So this is basically your end-to-end scenario where you are doing assertion, we are creating it and then verifying it also. Fine. Now I will just automate it through our Cypress code. So let's go back and let's automate it. So I've already created a put user file inside end-to-end, and I've mentioned the basic template, which is describe block. Now I will just add my it block inside this. So put call using JSON. So in this case, what I'm going to do, I will make a put call for an existing user and I will pass the body inside my it block. So now we know how we can make a API request in Cypress. So we have to use cy.request and inside this, we have to pass the method as put. Apart from this, what we are going to pass? We are going to pass headers and URL. So what is our URL? I will just copy the URL from here. So this is our URL. Because we have a user created already, so I'll be updating the same user. I'll be passing the ID like this. So this is our URL. Next thing is our headers. So what is our headers? So headers is an object again. So I will just copy the header from here. So this is my authorization and this is my bearer token. So the header name is authorization and value we already copied from there. Fine. Apart from this, we are passing body also. So body, inside the body, you have to pass the details, whatever you want to update. So in this case, I'm going to update my name and email address. So let's copy from here. Let me copy from the put call. So this is my name and email. But inside, I will just change the email ID because this is a unique email. Fine. So let me pass it like this. Okay. Now after this, after making the call, we will also assert it. So I will just store my response inside this so I can refer it. So using a callback function, I will do assertion. So expect response dot status, and in this case, what status we are expecting? We are expecting it to be 200. So to be equal 200. Fine. So now we are asserting the status code, and after this, I will also perform assertion on the response body. So response dot body, and I will write over here has dot property, and inside this, what property we want to verify? So I want to verify name from here. So I will just copy the name. So I'll copy the name inside this and I will remove the colon and pass comma like this. Fine. So we are asserting name also and we are asserting status code also. You can assert email or whatever parameters you're passing in the body, you can pass any, you can assert all those stuff also. Okay. But for now, the main concept is how you can verify the response body. So even if you know how you can verify the name, it will be sufficient for you. You can perform any number of assertions. Now what we will do? Now let's run the code and let's see. So npx Cypress open. So we have new test added, which is put users. So let me click on this put users and let's see. So over here, we can see all the my test case is getting passed. We can see the assertion, which is status code is 200 and then our name is also correct. Fine. So this is the case when you have body inside your request inside the it block. Now the other case is I want to pass my body inside the fixture folder. So I'm going to create a new file inside the fixture and I will name it as payload put users .json. And in this case, what I will do, I pass the name. I want to update my name only. In this case, I'm just going to update my name to Cypress 123. Fine. You can update any number of fields. For example, your payload contains 4 fields and you want to update all the 4 fields, you can update that also. If you want to update single field, you can do that also. Okay. So now we will just update the name in this case. So let's go back to the put users and over here, what I will do. So inside my it block, I will write cy.fixture. And in this case, I will pass the name of the file. So what is the name of the file? Our file name is payload put users. And then I will store it. So I will just name it as payload. And inside this, I will create a callback function. Now inside the callback function, you just have to copy your cy.request. You can copy from here and then paste it inside your cy.fixture. Why we are passing it inside it? Because we are getting our payload from here, from the fixture, and then we are using the payload inside our body. Fine. Instead of passing the hard-coded value inside the it block, we are going to pass payload, which is coming from the fixture file. Now let's run the same test case and let's verify. So over here, our body name is also changed. What is the body name? So now it should be Cypress 123. Earlier it was Anshita. Fine. So I will just verify it again and let's see this scenario as well. Let's run the test case. So again, I'm running put users. And in this case also, you see, my name is Cypress123 and the assertion is also getting passed and my status code is also 200 okay. So in this case, we are not fetching the value from the it block. We are passing the JSON body from a fixture file. Fine. So this is the case when we are passing the file from the fixture file. So we will see one more scenario. In the next scenario, we will pass our JSON file from a different package, which is not inside your fixture file. Create a new test. The next test case is it post call config.json. So I'm going to create a file inside my config.json. Over here, I will create a callback function and inside this, we will perform all the actions. So the first thing is what I can do, I will just copy from here because our code will be same. A basic code to make a API call for put and to perform the assertion, it's the same code. Fine. Now I will go to my config package. So I have already created a separate package inside my Cypress folder, and inside the config package, I will create JSON file. I will name it as users update.json. And over here also, I will pass name. Why I'm passing name? Because we have already created a resource. We have already created a user with a name. So we know the resource contains a field which is name. You cannot pass any random field. To make sure the payload from the Swagger, you can get all the details, like what are the fields which are already expected for that API. It's not like you're passing any random number and you're trying to update it. It will anyways fail. So in this case, I will pass a different name over here. Let's pass it as testing AB. And now I will go to my put users. I will import my file. So I will write over here, import payload. You can pass any name. And then from which location? The location is the main thing. You have to pass the correct location, otherwise it will not understand. So where is my folder? It is inside the config package. And what is the name? The name is users update.json. Fine. So now we have imported the file. This is my payload. What I will do, I will just pass the name. I'll update the name as update users because we already have created a name like payload. So I just want to pass a different name. So update users and then go back to the body. And over here, I will pass update users. Okay, we have updated our test for that. We have updated the body. But in this case, our assertion also we need to change. Next thing is we also need to update the property for the name. So what is the name? So users update.json. The name is testing AB. So I'll copy from here and let's go to put users and update the name inside it. Okay, so now we have our assertion also updated. We are passing the body from a JSON file which is under different package, not under fixture package, right? Now let's run the test case and let's see. So I'll use the command npx cypress open and let's execute it. Now I'll click this put users and let's verify. So we can see we have two tests now. One is using fixture file and second one is using a file, JSON file, which is not under fixtures. And inside this, we can see our assertion where we are passing the name as testing AB. The first assertion was Cypress123, but over here we have a different assertion, whatever we passed in our request. So this case is also working. The last scenario is we will verify end-to-end case where we will verify first we will create a resource using post call. Then we will update the same user. Afterwards, we will make a get API call for the same user and we'll verify the response. So now I will create a new test. So now I'll create a new test. So let me name it as it and end-to-end flow. And inside this, I'll create a callback function. So the first thing is we will use cy.request. And inside the cy.request, what did I say? I will create a resource first. So for creating a resource, I will name it as method and the name is post. Afterwards, we will pass URL. So what is the URL value? The URL value over here for the post call is this one, users, still users, right? Because we are creating a new resource. And afterwards, we are passing the headers. So what is the header value? Header value, actually, I can copy from here. This is the same header which I'm going to use. So header is again this one, fine. And after this, we are going to pass the body also. So in the body, what I will do? So we will create a body over here and the body I will use from config file. So in my previous video, I created a payload.json and I already have some data inside it. So I'll be using the same payload for my post call. So let me import it file. So import users from, what is the location? So the location is inside config. I have payload.json, and this users I'm going to pass inside my body. But there's one more thing. We know our email ID is unique, so this is going to throw an error if I do not change the email address. For that, I will change my email address inside the it block. So users dot email. Let me pass some random email. So random 1223ab@disposable.com. Now we have, now our users payload would be updated with the new email address. Okay. So now we have made a post call. Next thing is, after this, what do we want? So after this, we are going to store our response. And inside this, I'll create a callback function. So first I will fetch the ID, because for the put call, we need the ID, right? So I will do this. I'll create a variable which is ID. And inside this, I will save the value of ID. So response.body.id. So I will show you in the Postman first. So this is my Postman. In the response, we are getting this ID value, which is coming inside your response body. So same thing I'm going to save over here. I'm fetching the value of ID, which is basically your response.body.id. So this is response.body.id. Okay, you understood? So now we have got the ID. Next thing is we want to make a put call. So cy.request. And over here, we are going to make a put call. So for put call, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass my method as put. What is the URL? So the URL is, so URL will be, the basic URL will be same as post, right? And we will append the path parameter we will add in the URL. Apart from this, what we are going to do, so in the URL, we are going to pass the ID also. Fine, like we saw in Postman, for making a call, making a put call, you need to update your endpoint and pass the ID in the URL. Next thing is we can pass the same headers from here. So what is the header value? We can just pass it from here. So this is my header value. And let me update it. So in this case, I will update it from my, so same thing I will use. I will update it like this. So body update users. Fine. So I will pass body like this. So what I'm doing, I'm making a post call. We are creating a new user. So in the user, so in this case, I'm going to pass a payload from a package, right? We're getting all the value. We're getting all the values. We're making an API call for this. Then we are storing our response of that post call. And in the response of the post call, we are getting ID also in the response body. So this ID, I'm saving it. And then this ID, I'm passing into my URL of put call. You understood the flow? So you understood the flow? We are making a post call, then we are making a put call. We are appending the ID, which we are getting in the response of post call. We are passing in the put API call. Next, afterwards, what I will do, so my cy.request is done. So I will make an assertion and then I will verify. So this is, I will store the response, and inside the response, I will make an assertion. So expect response dot status to be equal to 100, right? In put call, we are getting status code as 200. Fine. Now what we are going to do, we are going to make one more call. So using cy.request, I make a API call. And in the API call, I'm going to make a call for get. Why we are making a call? Because now we'll be verifying if our resource got updated. If we are trying to fetch the response for that user ID, what are the details we are getting in the response? So method, and then the rest of the thing, let me copy from here, because the rest of the case is same. We have to pass the URL and then we have to pass the header. URL, in case of get also, you need to append the ID, because it will not know which user information you want. You need to inform it, yeah, this is my user ID, and tell me, give me the information for this user. So again, my ID is coming from the response body of post call. So now if you hit this API, so we should expect a response of 200. So I will write an assertion inside this. So this is my response, and then expect response dot status dot to be dot equal, and status code is 200. Fine. But apart from this, I'm also going to verify some other assertion. So in my response dot body, I'm going to expect the property has dot property. What is the property I'm expecting? I will just verify for name also. So what is the name? So my name is coming from the file, which is this update users. So I will pass like this update users dot name. Okay. So now we are not hard coding the name over here. This is our whole end-to-end flow. Let me explain you once more. So first of all, we are making a post call. We are creating a new user, and after creating a new user, I am fetching the ID of that user. So same ID I'm going to pass in my put call, and I'm again going to update the name of that user. And in the end, I'm going to make a API call for the GET request, and I'll verify if my name got updated or not. Okay, there's one more thing. In the users, you have to pass / because this is a path parameter. So we need to pass this as well. Now let's run the test case and let's see. Let's go to the Cypress test runner screen and let's verify it. Put users. Now, so we have three cases. First one is put call using JSON. Second one is where we are passing the JSON from a different package, right? Both the assertions are actually getting passed. And our final flow, where we have created a resource first using this public v2 users. And then we are going to make a put call. We are going to update that user. So in that case, I'm making an assertion for 200 OK. The third one is making an assertion for the get call. So we can see three calls over here. First one is post, put, and get. And in the get call, we are verifying the response status is fine. Our property name, which is testing AB, is also actually getting passed. And then in the response also, we can see same name. So this is all for today's video. So I hope you like the content. And if you have any queries, just message in the comment and I will try to reply you back. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll be posting more such kind of videos. So we have this API series going on. We also have in parallel our other web series. We'll be uploading more videos soon over there.